and that there might be a more harmonic adjustment to that by, learning this, whatever, back engineering the tech or just raising our consciousness into a new.
I mean, just imagine how much things would shift if there was just a base understanding that we have a magnetic field around us and that things affect the magnetic field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, truly.
Which is so crazy because that's like, for most people, it's an obvious thing, but still mainstream science has a bunch of reasons why that maybe isn't true. But it's crazy that's not like a universally accepted reality.
I mean, the vast majority of people do not understand that. For a long time, I don't like to be in close spaces with a lot of people. I was actually stoked when they said everyone had to stand 6 feet away from each other because that's really my preference, which, ironically, that's about how big your chunky ass aura is. But I can actually feel it when people are standing in my aura, and it's very uncomfortable. And then as soon as they're standing in my aura, my energy's processing their energy. And so it's overwhelming to me. So when, part of the reasons I'm glad I don't do stand-up anymore is because it was a lot of standing in tiny-ass rooms with a lot of people. You don't like
the stand-up part of it. You don't like the standing.
Yeah, I don't like the standing
up.
The stage is fine because there's nobody else up there. But, you're doing showcases and shit. You end up just having to kind of stand in a fucking packed. That's why I don't like New York City. Everything's too packed. And then you have all just these energy fields just all up in each other. And I'm very sensitive to things in it. And then I can feel the refrigerator when I'm standing too close to the refrigerator. And I think that a lot of sickness and disease can probably be accessed through the magnetic field and treated through the magnetic field. But, most people think that, not most people, who knows what most people think now, but it's until very recently was not at all recognized as a fact that people have a magnetic field and that the aura is just the magnetic field.
Yeah.
And that magnetic field is affected by all the things that we do.
Yeah, it's super sensitive. It's funny because as a kid, if you just logically think, I remember as a kid being dumbfounded by the idea that we're all humans that has this kind of perpetual energy and we're not plugged into the wall. As a kid, you learn, it's okay, everything that's got power that can run is either plugged into the wall or it's got this battery that's going to run out in a couple months. And so you're having to always manage energy. It's and then when you think about the human body, you're well, how are we walking around just no battery? Well, technically we have a battery, but you're not plugged into the wall. So how is this functioning? How does this go 80, 90 years? It's just Wi-Fi compatible, just running around. Where's the energy coming from? And as a kid, you're your parents are oh, it's the food. You eat food, and that's where the energy comes from. So it's okay, it still doesn't quite make sense to me.
That's such a projector thing to
think. But, and then I get older, and then you realize it's all of these electronics, they do have a magnetic field, around them. And, as a kid, you figure that out just via, so many different ways. If you have your cell phone near a speaker, it's da 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 da, it's communicating. So there's all this there's stuff going on in the air, and most electronics, they do have a resonant vibration to them that's putting off electromagnetic frequency. And so it's I don't know, it's some things within consciousness and just trying to understand life can really be accessed through just really base thinking. Kind of logical, just, and to me, it's pretty clear if you just think through basic facts. Humans running around by themselves, not plugged into the wall, they're energetically doing something, and it's off-putting some kind of electromagnetic field.
Right.
It's all there if you just think about it, but it's something that we're not really encouraged to think about. I've never heard anybody else have that existential crisis and go, wait, but we're not plugged into the wall.
That's a wild thing to think as a kid. But
this is so natural to me because I would that doesn't make sense. And if you just think about it long enough, you can pretty easily come to the conclusion that is, yeah, we're electromagnetic beings, and we are putting off. There's a field around us that is a part of us that we're sensitive to. It makes a lot of sense when you just simply think about it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if people were tuned into their energy, they would become privy to ways in which their energy is being drained pretty easily.